All right, welcome. We're going to be studying a little bit today, doing some SQL questions. The idea is to do this kind of like mock interview style, right? Kind of going through each question, sort of how you would want to go through it in an interview. Speaking your mind and like showing your thought process is super important when you're interviewing, when you're doing tech interviews. It lets the interviewer know kind of what you're thinking as you solve the problem, which is almost usually, so having been on the other side, usually the thought process of how you solve a problem tells you a lot about the candidate, and is sometimes even just as or even more useful than their actual performance when answering the question, I would say. So that's the point of today's video. We're going to go through some questions, and that's about it. I hope you find this useful. Let's pull up where we left off last time. Yeah, let me make sure I'm filtering by SQL only. Probably be useful to do the Python ones at some point. We might. Yeah, we did the IBMs, right, last time. We're going to do this one. We're going to do this one. Sure, we'll do all three parts of this. And then United Health. Okay. No comment. Okay. Let's begin with the first question. Actually, before we get started, I was going through the reviewing my previous videos and just kind of like seeing how I did as I was solving the questions. And I do have some feedback for myself. I guess if you want to consider this, you probably should. I am wasting a lot of time speaking, which is, it's great for explanation, but when it comes to interviews, it's really important that you have enough time to solve a problem, especially when you're accounting for if you get something wrong as you're solving. So I'm going to try to speak a little less as I am solving the problem, try to solve it as quickly as possible, and then perhaps afterwards explain my thought process after the question is over. That way, get some practice, or get an idea of how it is, how you would want to do it during the interview. Again, still want to share your thought process, just don't yap too much, which I noticed that I was doing in my last video. Cool. Let's get started with the first one. JP Morgan Chase, easy question. I'm going to start the timer. Okay. Team at JP Morgan Chase launching a new credit card. You're analyzing how many credit cards were issued each month. The name of each credit card and the difference in number of issued cards between the month with the highest issued cards and the lowest issuance. Let's look at what the example output looks like. Okay, so it's just the card name and then the difference. The difference is the number of issued cards with the highest issuance between the month of highest issuance and the lowest. For any particular year, it doesn't say. Just for the whole data set, I'm assuming, right? It's a single table, monthly cards issued. All right, and it's already aggregated. Cool. How do we want to solve this? We need the maximum and the minimum, essentially. All right, that's all it's asking. So yeah, we can just do, it's going to be a group by, I think. We just need card name. And we're going to do the minimum of, no, we need the maximum first. Maxed issued amount minus minimum issued amount. As difference. From here, group by card name. And then I think it mentioned something about ordering. Let's see. Arrange the results based on the largest disparity. So descending, yeah. I'm just going to copy this. Let's see if this works. If not, we'll do something different. I think actually I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. That's too big. Cool, it does work. I think this is it. Let's submit. Cool, accepted. 250. It's not bad. Super easy question. Let's review. So what the question is asking us is basically per card name, what is the biggest difference between the highest issued amount and the lowest issued amount? That's essentially what it's asking. So this right here is our answer. There's nothing really tricky here. It is an easy question. All you want to do is you know that your granularity is card name. So you're going to select card name, and then you're going to compute that difference. So you're going to take the max of the issued amount minus the minimum of the issued amount as the difference. It is already aggregated per month, which is part of the question. So you don't have to do that aggregation. So there's nothing really to do as far as that. There's a single table from the monthly cards issued table. And then you're simply grouping by that card name, which is your granularity. And then you're going to order by that difference. And that's pretty much it. Cool. Let's roll up to the next question. Alibaba. Actually, I'm going to take a little coffee first before we start this one. All right, question 2. It's an Alibaba question. Compressed mean. You're trying to find the mean number. Let's start the timer. Trying to find the mean number of items per order, rounded to 1 decimal place. Okay, item count is the table, and then number of orders. So we have 2 tables, one for orders, one for item counts. The mean is just, okay, the example output is just that one calculation. We want to get the arithmetic average, which is basically the sum of, what is this? Oh no, it's a single table. So we have item count and then order occurrences. And we want to get items per order. I pretty much still knows how to do it here, right? We want to do this times this, essentially for all of them. That's our total items. And then our orders total is this. Then we divide. It's essentially what we got to do. So let's not think too hard about this. They're basically telling us how to do this. I'm just going to implement it. The first thing that we want to do, I'm just going to keep the star for now. And we're going to do okay, I'm going to do this item count times order occurrences as items. I'm going to call this items. And then let's run this real quick. Cool. Basically, we want the sum of this and then the sum of orders. That's why I'm doing it like this. You can just, again, easily just do this, right, with D1 as this, and then we do select. Probably save us some time, but okay. We're gonna do sum of items, essentially divided by sum of order occurrences from T1. We gotta round it, right? Round. I think it's at to 2 decimal places, 1 decimal place, to 1 decimal place. I think this should be it. I did something wrong here. From where? Is that not what it's called? Oh, typo. Function, round, double precision, integer. Okay, so we're gonna do this. Let's just, it's probably data types. We're just gonna do the quick cast to numeric. Come on, oh, missing 2. There we go, 3.9. Let's run it. And that's it. Cool. All right. So what is our question asking us to do? It's basically just asking us to get the average number of items per order. And it gives us the number of orders kind of by buckets of how many items each of those order has. The question is very good, honestly. It's very simple because it gives us in the explanation our calculation, essentially. So if we can just replicate this, we're pretty much done. And what we want to get is just the mean. So that one, the output of that calculation. So this will be our final query. Well, the first thing that we're doing is that we are basically getting the total items by multiplying the order occurrences times the item count, right? And then we're wrapping this in a CTE just to keep it organized and make it easy to do the second step, which is the actual calculation. For the actual calculation, as we can see in the explanation, we just need the sum of the items divided by the sum of the total orders, right? So the items, again, some of the items, it comes from our CTE, is that multiplication. And then we just need to round it to 1 decimal place. These are both integers. So when we do the rounding for a float, it gives us a syntax. It would give us a syntax error, as you can see from the error that I got. So what you want to do here is you want to cast, right, this sum into a numeric data type. That way you can do your rounding. This is how I did it. You could probably wrap this and do it like wrap the division and cast that as a numeric. Probably would also work. So that's pretty much it, and that's your answer. Cool. All right, let's move on to our next question. We're gonna do, it's a CVS Health EC question. There's 3 parts to this, 3 different questions. This is part 1. So CVS is trying to understand its pharmacy sales, how well each of the products are selling. Each drug can only be produced by one manufacturer. See if this comes into play. Write a query. Let's start the timer. Write a query to find the top 3 most profitable drugs sold and how much profit they made. Assuming there's no ties. Display from highest to lowest. COGs is cost of goods sold. Total profit is sales divided by cost of goods. All right, we have a single table, it looks like. What we're trying to get is, our example output looks like this. We want on a drug level, with the drug name, the total profit. And we saw the total profit comes from the total sales minus the cost of goods sold, which is the COGS. All right, we have our products IDs. Okay, the drug names are the last here. Okay, I was getting confused there. We're gonna essentially group by drugs. Total sales must be the quantity sold. Does it include already the units sold? Because the total sales is a decimal, I'm assuming this is a monetary value. I don't think the units sold is going to come into play. Same with COGS. It's a monetary value. I doubt that it's per unit. Just looking at how big the numbers are. So we're going to solve it based on that. If we need to account for the units, we'll come back and do that. Right. So basically, what we want is we said drug, right? And all that we want is a total profit, which is, we can say total sales Actually, let's take a look at this first. I want to see what the data looks like. Product ID. Yeah, it seems like there's no duplicates. It's a little confusing, but yeah, let's try this. We're gonna say drug. And I don't think we even have to group by anything. You can say sales minus COGS as profit. And all that this is asking us to do is just get the top three. So we're gonna order by, I don't think it'll let me just write profit. So I'm gonna say order by this, descending, and I'm gonna do limit 3. Cool. And that's our profit. Does it say anything about rounding? I mean, it's already rounded to 2 decimal places. Let's submit it. Let's see. Cool. That's it. It works. Right. So to recap, what the question is asking us to do is basically just wants the top 3 drugs in terms of profit. It gives us a table. It looks like where the key or the unique identifier is product ID. There doesn't seem to be any duplicates here, right? It just gives us, hey, each line item is a different drug with its corresponding manufacturer properties, its name, which is what the example output wants us to aggregate by the name. There is actually no aggregation. It's already aggregated for us. So, but the output wants it on this granularity, on the drug name granularity. So we already have everything in here. We have total sales. This seems to account for all the units, right? So there's no calculation we need to do here to get the total sale amount based on the units. It's already included. And then the cost of, what's it called? Goods sold. So basically for production. Essentially, it's just this column minus this column. That's the answer. So this is our query. This is our final query. It's just a select, right? We want the drug name. And then it's just a simple difference of the total sales minus the COGS as our profit. It does ask us to do it in descending order. So this is what line 5 does. And then it's asking for the top 3. For this question, we can just do a simple limit, and it works out. Cool, that's it. Okay, this is part 2 of the kind of similar question. Let's start the timer. Now, what we want to do here is identify the manufacturers associated with the drugs that resulted in losses and calculate the total amount of losses incurred. It seems like we're using the same table, pharmacy sales, right? And our example output is manufacturer. Okay, like the drugs, that the number of drugs that gave us a loss, and then total loss for all of those. Cool. All right. What are we going to do here? This one will require a little bit more aggregation, or actual aggregation. What we're going to do is we're going to add a column for a loss. So basically what we're going to say is if the COGS is greater than the total sales, right? This is going to be our, let's call it is loss, right? Column. So if we run this, then we should get at least one. No? It should. Okay, maybe do a case statement. When this, then true, else false, right? And then we're going to end it. Let's try to run this now. Thanks very much. Okay. Why is this not outputting? Okay. I'm not sure if it's because of the Boolean. Okay. All right. Keep a mental note how to work with Booleans on Postgres. We're going to do it with a string. Basically, we'll fit the case anyways, the use case. Actually, I don't even need to do this. I can do a... Anyways, I can do this in a filtering or in a case. Let's do this. Manufacturer, not in a case, on a filter, on a where statement. We're gonna do count product ID. And then we're going to do sum of COGS minus sum of total sales. Actually, I think this should work as total loss. And we don't need this actually. Where basically we just want COGS is greater than total sales. I think this is it. Yeah, and we need to group by, of course, group by manufacturer. and we don't want this anymore. That should be it. Yeah. Now it does want descending order, so we're just going to order by this descending. Cool. That's it. Took a little more time than I wanted to, honestly, for an easy question. Thrown off a little bit by the case statement and the Boolean situation. But okay, yeah, basically, let's recap. Our question is asking us how to, or not how to, but for each manufacturer to identify how many drugs lost money, and then the total money lost per, not per drug, but like in total per manufacturer. So this, what the example output is going to look like, is just a manufacturer, how many drugs are lost, and then a total loss. In order to get that, this is our final query. What we're going to do is we're going to select the manufacturer because we know that's the granularity of the output that we want. We're going to count the number of drugs, right? The product ID. That's the unique identifier per drug. And then we're going to sum for all of those products, sum the cost minus the total sales. This difference is the loss. We know that the cost is going to be larger because we're filtering for only cases where it gives us a loss, where the cost is larger than total sales. And then just we do a group by manufacturer, and then we order by what the question is asking us to, which is the total loss, descending. And that's pretty much it. That's your answer. If we run this, ta-da, accept it. All right, let's do the third part of this question. CVS Health number 3. Write a query to calculate the total drug sales for each manufacturer. Round the answers to the nearest million. And report your results in descending order of total sales. In case of any duplicates, sort them alphabetically by manufacturer name. Cool. You want to display the result as 36 million. All right. This is our expected output. Cool. This should be fine. I mean, getting to the number is going to be easy. The formatting, not 100% sure how we're going to do it. We're going to try it. And then if not, we'll look it up. How exactly the syntax is. But basically, it's pretty straightforward. All that this is asking to do is group by manufacturer. And we want the sum of total sales, essentially. That's pretty much it. Right? Yep. The rounding is what's tricky. If we run this, yep, need to group by. Cool. All right. So I do remember integer rounding is a little bit different than float rounding, the function. We'll have to look it up. I'm going to try this first. If it doesn't work, then we'll look up the documentation. But I think that this should work. If we say this, I think. No, that's not We don't want a million decimal points. We want, yeah, let me look up PGSQL integers. I see. So if we round, if we just simply round, it will give us the to the nearest integer. So if we do this, right, we'll get an integer. I am not sure how we want to get the millions out of this. I actually do not know how to get that. Or at least easily. What I'm thinking is, I guess you could do a substring. No, that's not a good idea. There's got to be a rounding, round to the nearest. Just don't know how to do that. I'm gonna have to look it up. Oh, I'm stupid. If we just divide by a million, right? That's all we really need to do, right? Ugh. I think that's it. So if we divide this, that should give us an integer. And then we just, yeah, we just do the round after. That's all we need to do. Jesus Christ, what am I thinking? Giving up so early. There you go. That's our millions. We just divide by a million. Yeah. Silly goose. Essentially, I think we can use the concat function, right? You want to say this? Sorry, this, and like this. Nope. Oh yeah. Sorry. Pretty much it. All right. Cool. Now we just got to sort. So we're going to say order by this descending. And we can say manufacturer ascending. No. It works in some places. In some places, not in some. Is that a comma? I'm curious. Manufacturer ascending. Can I do that like this? Yeah. So we can if we just do a comma. Cool. Yeah, I need to do a comma. Multiple, doesn't matter. Even if you're not doing different orders, it should work. All right, okay, I'm gonna submit before I stop the timer. I think this should be it. Cool. All right, let's recap. Got thrown off a little bit with the rounding, but problem solving skills, guys. We gotta exercise those. Don't follow suit and give up so early like me. Jesus. All right. What is this question asking us is basically this total sales per manufacturer, rounded up to the nearest million. So it's essentially a quick group by. This is our final query. What you want to do is you want to select your manufacturer, which is the granularity of your answer. And then you're going to, let's work inside out for this. So you're going to sum the total sales, right, per manufacturer, because we're going to do a group by. And then since we want to round to the nearest million, what we're going to do is just going to divide by a million to get an integer, and then from that integer, or sorry, to get a float, and then yeah, from that float or numeric, we're going to round it to the nearest integer. And then to that, then we apply the formatting that they want, which is at the $, and then at the million. We do that using the concat function. It's a single table, we're grouping, and then it's the ordering, which is basically ordering by total sales, descending, if there's matches, manufacturer ascending. And that's pretty much it. Cool. All right, let's do one more. The United Health Group. Easy question. United Health. All right. Cool. Something about policyholders. We want to write a query to find out how many policyholders made 3 or more calls, assuming each call is identified by case ID. Let's see. We have a single callers table, it looks like. And all that we want is the policyholder count. Cool. I think how, oh, sorry, I need to start timer. How do we want to do this? We have different case IDs. We basically want the number, case ID, policyholder ID. We basically want the number of policyholders, like the count of policyholders that appear more than 3 times in the table, essentially. So let's start with that and take it from there. We're going to get the policyholder ID. It's probably a super easy way to do this, but I'm just going to do this. And then just do a halving count of, yeah, I'm just going to copy this. Count of this is greater than or equal to 3, because it says at least, right? Maybe 3 or more. So if we run this, this is our, right? And I just think we can do a count, right? Distinct. Might not even need the distinct. Okay, no, that's not what I want. Yeah, no. See, I'm gonna be safe here again. Wrap it in a CTE. It just makes things clean, man. And then we're gonna do select count of this from T1. I don't think I even need a yeah, distinct. Let's try. Yeah, that's pretty much it. All right, let's review. So what the question is asking, it gives us a callers table for essentially like a case table. Anytime a caller calls in, a policyholder calls in, there's a record, right? So they want to know what policyholders called 3 or more times. That's pretty much it. And see the example output, what they want as an output is just the number of policyholders that called 3 or more times. That's it. So what we're going to do, this is our final query right here. Let's take a look. We just basically filtering, right? We're going to say policyholders. We're grouping by policyholder, and we're counting the amount of times they appear in this table. Anyone that appears more than 3 times, right, on a show up, and then essentially wrap this in a CTE. And from this, right, which is our filtered policyholder IDs, our policyholders with more than 3 occurrences in the table, then we just count them. And that's pretty much it. So I think that's going to do it for today. We went over, I think it was 5 or 6 easy questions. Again, the focus is on solving these questions as you would during an interview. Hopefully, you learned something useful, and I'll see you next time. We'll probably solve some harder questions. All right, thanks for watching.